Hi, you guys. This is part two for why I will never monetize my channel with YouTube and Google in general. So, the reason why I just won't do it is also because I've seen a lot of people get taken down simply because of what do you call it? Freedom of speech. Like their freedom of speech is limited once they join the platform and sign the monetization terms of agreement. They no longer have um, their freedom of speech, pretty much. And so, for this reason, and that's just the way that I view it, honestly, is that, you know, they are basically being taken down if they don't agree with the way that Google and YouTube want to run things. Okay, say you're doing a review about something, you can't even like say that you don't um like that or something like that, because like for example the whole burger thing that happened to Oprah Winfrey. That's like one example, right? Um, but basically, this is the reason why I choose to not monetize my channel and not go mainstream or anything like that, is because of this reason, okay? And you have no idea how hard it is for people to be themselves once they become commercialized and YouTube decides to mainstream them. And you saw a lot of that during the Biden era, was that they were trying to basically um, create this thing where they do a expansionary policy. So basically making all these videos where people start reviewing all this stuff. And honestly, I'm going to say junk, because how many James Charles videos did we watch of a ton of products that didn't even go with his skin tone and weren't even, I think he says cool skin tone. You guys remember that one video where he tried on every foundation? Like, girl, why are you trying on warm skin tone foundation when you are a cool tone? Like that to me was just consumerism and capitalism at its finest. And don't get me wrong, because I love consumerism, I love capitalism, and I live for it 100% every single day of my life. I will be like that person. You know what I'm saying? And what gets me is that they were like stimulating the economy in this whole way. And now, do you ever even get a James Charles video? Do you ever even get one on your For You page? No, because that time frame of what they were trying to do and get the consumer to do has ended. And now we're in this time frame of contraction policy where they're trying to get people to stop spending. So now what are you getting? Right? What are you getting? You're getting a bunch of videos that are just news, a bunch of gossip, a bunch of stuff like that, a bunch of videos about how to cook pies from the Great Depression. Because how to make recipes from the Great Depression with less items, right? So it's all geared toward don't buy things. Like, it's all the message, the psyop that they're trying to send you. It's like, don't go out and buy things, because right now we are in contractionary policy. And again, they took TikTok from people because people were spending a lot of money on TikTok. TikTok was helping the aggregate demand go and grow to the right. And basically, when the aggregate demand grows to the right, what happens is it causes an inflation. It's just economics, guys. It's just economics. So when it causes that type of inflation, you have a lot of people buying a lot of stuff, but the thing is they're buying it from foreign suppliers. So what is it called? Remittances, or what is it? Exports, imports. Okay? Um basically what happens, okay, now this thing is trying to, okay, what happens is that you have money that's getting sent out to suppliers that are not here in the United States. And do not believe them when they tell you that they want you to buy things from people here in the United States. I have a book that's made here in the United States. I have a whole clothing line made here in the United States. I have entire cards and game cards and everything that I make here in the United States. Everything that I make is incredibly expensive. Yes, I understand that part, but that is just something that happens when you happen to make a product that's made here in the United States. Okay? And I could get online on, what's it called? John Shaisha or whatever it's called, and get distributors from China, but now I would have to pay more money just to import it into the United States, and then you, the consumer, would have to pay a bigger tariff. That tariff is on you. It's not on them. Okay, that tariff is not even on me, the creator of the product or whatever, or the person who imports the product. That tariff is on the consumer. The consumer pays based on the choice that they make for what they are buying from where at this point. That's how the game has changed. Why they changed the game this way? Because they needed to bring down the inflation. Okay, and literally it really is just the game, because the way to determine if how they're going to go into contractionary policy, okay, is basically they've been in expansionary policy. And then what happens is that they go, oh my gosh, we're doing way too good. And now the inflation rate is way too high. And what happens is that they go, now we're performing above optimal, you know, production. Okay, the output is way too good. And they go, we got to flip it around and get on top of it, because now that we're performing way too well, we need to shift the scales. And that's literally what they do. That's all they do, you guys. Literally, I kid you not. And even when I studied business intro, even when I studied there, they have a whole method about how they're going to declare recession. Like, they have a whole method. They just look at, like, are they shopping for less expensive products? They have a whole method. And if you shop for less expensive products, they declare recession. It's like, it's a whole thing. It's all it is. It's like, okay, now they're shopping at, like, bargain stores. All right, well, we're about to declare recession. And they're like, it's crazy. It's crazy. You guys don't believe me, but it is crazy, because the minute they declare recession, what happens is that you go save. And when you go save, the banks get more money. When the banks get more money, the banks can make loans. When the banks can get loans, then the banks can bring down interest rates. When the banks can bring down interest rates, businesses start hiring more. When businesses start hiring more, people have more money in general. Unemployment rate goes down and employment rate goes up. When the employment rate goes up, what happens now is that unemployment it becomes really low, and then the people who are trying to get jobs start competing for jobs. So you're also bringing down the cost of wages for businesses. So it all starts to create a lot of inflation, because now the businesses have a lot of money to hire more people. The people have more money to be hired and basically to spend their money. And what happens is everybody is competing for the goods. The goods start to basically be like scarce, and there's no surpluses anymore. You don't have like a lot of sales going on at that point. And so what happens is that they basically start to realize, like, we're doing way too good. We're doing way too good. The suppliers can't even keep up. We're doing way too good. And then they go, oh, we need to go into contractionary policy, because now aggregate demand went way too high. It's like, it's shifted it way too high, and everything's selling for way too much. And they go, we got to bring it down. Okay, it's not just a way for them to control the money supply. The money supply is controlled in many ways, is what you don't understand. And when I say the money supply, I mean the money that is being supplied to banks. And this is literally what you study when you go study business, and it's actually an impacted major right now. It's one of the most impacted major because everybody's trying to get this business degree that takes a long time because there's so much math. It's all math. The whole thing is math. Okay? And that's what you got to realize, is that there is so much control that happens. So much control that happens. So all I can tell you is definitely always have a savings. Always have a savings. And here's the thing. If you have, say, $100, right, and you go put it into the bank, that $100 gets counted for $500, if that makes sense, because that's how many times that they estimate that those $100 are gonna circulate throughout the economy. Okay, so you have to understand that they are very, 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 very concerned about how they control the money supply. And they do not, and it's really, not every country functions this way, is what you have to understand. If you look into Spain, their entire economic system, their entire like legal system, their entire banking system is super, super, super strange. And I had to do a whole report on it, and I was even like, what is this one? Because there's names for the kind of financial system or the kind of legal system that a country runs. And I mean, there's a name for that one too, but I was like, I can't even understand this one. It's so hard for me to get my head around that one. But basically in Spain, the government and the businesses and all of them kind of get together and agree on how and what they're going to do to basically make the financial system be quote unquote good. So here it's different. It's different because here it's just like whatever the Federal Reserve says. If they decide to declare a recession and scare the people so the people start saving money, if they decide whatever they decide, that's what you get. So yeah, I think it was like really, they just realized that the inflation was going up and up and up and up during the whole like Biden administration. But honestly, I knew it was heading there, because when you have a lot of people buying stuff for all these YouTube videos and all these TikTok videos, and they just start consuming to create, right? Consuming to create so that they can turn around and make a lot of profit on stuff. You have a way that it's not really regulated. Why do you think all those tech people were up there with Trump? Because they can say to these people, okay, well, now you're not going to monetize small creators. Now we don't want small creators. We want to create now mainstream. We want it to be mainstream so that we have more control over who and what has money. We want really more like top earners. We don't want low income or middle class. We want the people who become rich or who have the access to become rich to be maybe like above middle class, a little bit above middle class, but not really millionaires or whatever. And that's pretty much how it works. That's it. You guys, it just really open your eyes. Open your eyes, please. This is why I will never ever monetize my videos on to YouTube, because everything is so controlled. And do you really want to be that person who ends up as controlled as Britney Spears, allegedly? Okay, do you really want to be that person? Because I guarantee you that you would rather not be famous, that you would rather just work a 9-to-5, that you would rather just raise your family behind closed doors than to be that person who gets their picture taken everywhere they go, their privacy invaded everywhere they go. And yeah, you're getting a big paycheck, but what's the exchange? You are exchanging something for that. You're exchanging the fact that if they decide tomorrow they're going to flip around and cancel you because you said something that they did not like, because now you're monetized and they consider your money as their money and their money as your money, but really your money is their money. And that's how they see you. And they don't just see you as your money is their money. They see you as you are their product. They own you. Why in the world would I ever submit myself to that level of giving up my individuality? Giving up my individuality, which I fought for since I was a kid because I grew up in the Mormon church, which, I mean, like, talk about not me. Okay, talk about literally not me. Why would you submit yourself to that? Or even something that goes against whatever political agenda that they've got. There's no way that you truly knowing exactly, like, once you get to know as much as I know, you're not going to be like, I'm going into that den with those lions. Oh, yes, it looks great. You're not going to be like that. You're going to be like, oh, no. No way. Absolutely not. So long as I am, like, my heart's beating, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that you would sign on that dotted line knowing that that's what it is. No matter how much money. No matter how much money. Like, there's no way, because you really can live comfortably with very little money if you know how to live. And there's literally this quote by Robert Kiyosaki. And he says something about, like, we don't see the economy that actually exists. We oftentimes see our economy, like what the economy that we are, like, that we feel comfortable with, right? But you can have any economy. You can go down to the thrift store and you can be in that, like, you know, pre-Biden economy when everything was cheap. You can get you a sweater for real cheap. You can get you pants for real cheap. And some with even still the tags on them, because you just gotta know where to look. You just gotta know where to shop. If you know how to shop, you know how to save, you know how to use your coupons, and you know how to, like, just figure out where you're gonna get help and resources and stuff like that. If you know how to shop, okay, and how to get, like, points, rewards, and all this stuff, if you know how to do it, you will be able to have a decent standard of life without having to compromise and giving up your individuality. Look at how every artist starts out being so like special and individual and everything, and then before you know it, by the end of their career, they look exactly like everybody else, have the same exact plastic surgery to everybody else, and look like clone of everybody else. Why in the world would I want to be a twin or clone to anybody? I never aspired to have a twin. Hell no. Why would I want to have that now? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's like my whole life I'm fighting against everything that my family tried to get me to be in the box in. And I'm not about to let anybody take my individuality from me, take my freedom of speech from me. I literally would never, ever give up my freedom of speech. I would never give up my individuality for $1 million, for $2 million, for $3 million. I don't, no, because I know the feeling of being, like, suppressed and silenced. I know that feeling because it's literally what I experienced every day in my childhood. And there is no way that you could get me to, not even for $1 billion, not even for $1 billion. There's no way that you could get me to want to exchange my freedom of speech, my freedom in general, my individuality, everything that makes me me, to go be like just like everybody else. Just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean that it's necessarily something that I'm gonna do too. Just because it will pay your bills. There's plenty of other ways to pay your bills. Okay? There's so many ways to pay your bills. That's why I'm not on OnlyFans. That's why I'm not on OF or whatever it's called. That's why I'm not on all these other things. And even when I was younger, like, there was not, anything like that. And when I was younger, I think that I was kind of not so aware of how things are. And I think really it wasn't until I dealt with YouTube and they basically took down my channel because I did like card readings and stuff like that, and did astrology that I taught people at that time. I believed in like determinism. I was very like conditional lover of life. And that's what those people have. People who believe in astrology and all this stuff, they're just conditional lovers of life. They want to know what their horoscope is because they're conditional lovers of life. And then if they don't see the outcome that they think is going to be, they start freaking out. Why would I want to sit at home and freak out all day about my horoscope? I mean, wake up, you guys. Wake up. It's all I'm saying. Anyways, that's